So oil just hit 119 a barrel. Alibaba's profit dropped 67%. Micron, they beat earnings. The stock fell anyway, 5% in pre-market. And people are running scared. Lots of people are getting assigned all their cash secured puts and they don't know how to manage it. A lot of people are just getting into running the real strategy, the Ark Options Strategy, and being income investors, and they don't know where to turn. In today's video, guys, I'm going to be showing what I'm doing in this absolutely crazy market. And of course, guys, none of this is financial advice. These are just the plays that I'm going to be doing and deploying right now, especially with how crazy this market is being, right? There's no question, guys, right? I don't think this is ending anytime soon. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. It's just the reality of what we're living in. Not only do we still have to deal with the situation, all these geopolitical risks that are happening, rising oil, right? The Fed being absolutely stuck. If you listen to the Fed meeting yesterday, there's going to be a long recovery period as well. And that is just something we're going to have to deal with, how to play it that makes sense for our specific risk profiles. I'm going to show you guys mine today. Alibaba, obviously this morning reported earnings as well, right? Tough. 67% drop in profitability, down nearly 7%. Last time I checked, it was down 5%. Micron, stellar earnings earnings yesterday, but spending, right? Similar story that we've seen with other big AI spenders, right? Where is the return on our investment? They're spending a lot more money on AI. Investors are fearful. Is that going to pay off long term or is it not? And then, my absolute favorite, gold. I actually ended up buying a little bit of gold recently, and I'm actually going to go and most likely today go buy some more gold. Some of you guys know I love buying precious metals, primarily gold and silver as well. It's just been something my dad was always into, especially in like the early 90s and stuff. Different kinds of coin collecting and stuff like that. Not to digress. If you guys want to see more videos on gold and kind of like my thoughts about that, let me know. I always try to diversify the content here on the channel as best as I can, but I do believe precious metals should be absolutely a foundation in pretty much every single portfolio out there. Even a little bit of Bitcoin, I would say as well. Definitely the smallest amount, but a little bit of Bitcoin as well wouldn't hurt you. But gold, I think, is a foundational investment for pretty much everybody out there. So what am I doing during this dip? Okay, I have to simplification. We have to simplify. Okay, so right now, like if I go on my ArkPicks profile, you could see on my core watch list, I have a ton of stuff oversold. In a normal market conditions, right, I'd be like a kid in a candy store. I've got Lowe's, Dollar General, UPS, Home Depot, Nike, Conagra Brands, General Mills. Like these are some great companies in my personal opinion. Asterisk. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. And the reason that doesn't matter right now is because we're going into periods of uncertainty. The headlines drive the news, right? The war drives the news, right? The Fed meetings drive these markets, right? And we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know the repercussions of everything. Obviously, we're already seeing them, but also how long it's going to last, right? And then also the recovery period that is going to be inevitably happen as well. So when I think about me, what is my risk profile? Well, I'm planning to be invested in the markets for 30 plus, 40 plus more years. And I start thinking, okay, Pete, now that we're seeing a big dip in the market, what is the best thing to do? So number one, what I actually ended up doing, not number one, there's no order to this thing. This is just kind of how I do it. Number one, I went and bought some gold, right? During the dip. I did go and buy a little bit of gold. Now I'm not buying like I used to buy gold. I used to go and buy like 1-2 ounces a month. I'm not doing that anymore for obvious reasons. Okay. That is a massive investment to be putting $10,000 a month. I mean, 10,000 is relative to who you talk to, right? 10,000 for one person is lunch, right? But for me, not something I'm able to financially pull off. So I'm buying a lot of fractional gold right now, small pieces, very small, nothing crazy, but I do want to take advantage of the dip when we see it in gold. Nothing crazy, once a month, just buy a little bit of gold. Second, I'm focusing in heavily in SPY, okay? And the reason for this is that I want to obviously buy the dip, but I'm not looking at this buy the dip as most people are doing it. I'm buying this dip as an income investor, right? And coming from that frame of mind, right? Now, I don't think buying the dip on like your Vanguard funds, whatever, your SPYs, your QQQs, like, and you just want to hold, fantastic. That's not a bad play for most people, but I like to be an income investor with like buy and hold tendencies, okay, as well. So I don't know what I would classify myself as. I mix around a lot of stuff, right? I want to hold as many assets as I can, right? So with SPY, as we see, right, been down 3% the last 3 months. I'm going to dollar cost average this as we continue to dip down a little. I will not just go in and just like, put, let's say, $1,000 into SPY just today. I will spread that out. Let's say it's my $1,000 for the month. I'll buy a little, maybe I'll buy like 200 today, see what happens over the next couple of days. If we continue to dip, I'll buy another 200, another 200, another 200, right? I don't want to just blow my budget just because we only see, a couple percentage points drops, especially if this market can really come back. Guys, look at the chart. We just in the last year, come on now. I mean, we're still up 17%. This thing could come down a lot further, and it could get ugly really, really quick, like a lot of analysts. I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm just saying it can get ugly really, really quickly, and I want to be ready with my dry powder, ready to take advantage of it, okay? And a lot of people, what I found is when they DCA into stuff, they're DCAing too quickly, and then they don't have any dry powder to really take advantage of it on a dip. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, in November, we were at 650, 652. We're still just slightly below that, above that dip, right? So in my opinion, still just waiting. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this both on SPY and QQQ. A lot of you know that already. I'm buying the dip on both SPY and QQQ. Let's take a look. 3-month chart here, down just over 3.5%. Again, not really much when you look at over the past year here, guys. We still have plenty of room to go down here. I mean, let's just be real. Where were we last April? Look at where we were last April, which is kind of insane if you remember that big sell-off that we had. So my big motivator right now to continue to DCA into QQQ and SPY is because I know in my future, everything I do is for my future. I want to sell covered calls for income on my shares. So what does that mean? Well, I'll be selling calls, right? Let's say I own 100 shares of QQQ. I want to sell a call, and I'm going to most likely be doing them probably let's just say 2 weeks, right? So I'll sell a call and I'm going to be saying, hey, I'm willing to sell my 100 shares of QQQ at a certain price and on a certain date, right? So in this specific case, let's just for the sake of this example, just pretend I own 100 shares of QQQ at 590. Okay. And let me go, and I'll probably still be using my covered call calculator. If you want to attend the Ark Options Workshop, you'll get my 2 premium calculators as well as my full trade log template to keep yourself organized. Attend the Ark Options Workshop, you'll get all that stuff for free. So I am doing a strike of, we're saying we own our shares for, let's say 590. We own 100 shares of QQQ at 590. And then what we're going to be doing is selling covered calls, right? So basically a covered call says I'm willing to sell my 100 shares for a certain price on a certain date. So if I go out 14 days and I do, let's say the 615s for a nice rounder kind of number here, we're collecting about, let's say $275 of premium, right? That's given to us directly upfront from an options buyer. And then our strike of the options we said was what, the 615s or 614s, okay? So what can happen with a covered call? 2 big things. In my opinion, they're worth my risk, okay? Number 1, let's say 2 weeks rolls around, SPY or QQQ is trading below that 615 I actually did 615 level. I don't sell my shares. I move on with my life. I rent them out for the following 2 weeks and write myself another paycheck. Hopefully at that point, I will have multiple contracts. So I will multiply this by many times. Let's say I have 500 contracts, right? So I have 500 contracts, right? So I can, or 500 shares. I would collect $1,300 of premium on that, right, which gives me about a 0.5% return on my money in about a 2-week period. If I end up having to sell my shares, and that's the big risk of it, is let's say the second rolls around and QQQ is trading at 616, 617, whatever, anything above that, I will then have to sell my shares and lock in gains. But here's what's nice that a lot of people don't talk about with covered calls is that if you do this way of dollar cost averaging and you have a 5-10 year time horizon, your cost basis is going to get tremendously lower. So you can get a lot less risky with this, right? So I can even if let's say my cost basis on my shares, my purchase strike price is, let's just pretend your cost basis on QQQ right now is like $400, right, for your 100 shares, right? You're getting a 0.69% return because this premium is divided by this $40,000, right, to buy your 100 shares, okay? So in this specific case, I wouldn't be this aggressive. Now I can be less aggressive with my covered calls the better my cost base is. And so it's less likely that I have to sell my shares, right? So in this specific case, I could go and be like, okay, you know what? How about the 620s? The 620s, I'm collecting about $155 of premium. Okay, 155. Okay, boom, I'm getting about a 0.4% return in about a 2-week period. And I can, let's say I have, 10 contracts of this, or 1,000 shares of QQQ that I run this on. You could see how that starts to become a meaningful income and less likely to happen. Of course, there's always going to be that chance that your covered calls have to get sold, but it's less likely, for it to jump up to 620, and you could always go further up in the strike price. So that's one of my big plans. The other ones, so that's what I'm doing. I'm buying a lot of SPY. I'm buying QQQ a little bit every single day if the market continues to drop, and then I'm focusing on heavily on income focused ETF. So the first one being a dividend ETF, and that is SCHD. Basically, they own 100 of the top highest quality dividend payers. They have a strict filtering that they go through and a whole process that they go through for being qualified to be an SCHD. We get about just under a 4% dividend yield. And then I'm also selling my covered calls against these shares as well. So I'm mixing in the almost 4% dividend I'm getting from SCHD, diversifying myself. Diversifying is key right now for me. I'm not trying to do individual stocks, but I am also going to be able to do my covered calls. The next one as well is JEPI. And JEPI is primarily an income-focused ETF with a yield around, I believe, around 8%. And this is a nice one because it is primarily focused for income. Now, understand, you will not beat the market, a buy and holder of JEPI, who's, let's just say he's holding SPY, right? That's what they're primarily selling covered calls on, right? We're capping our upside for income. That is how these income ETFs work. They're selling ELNs, just assume covered calls, against the S&P 500 stocks that are in their holdings, and they cap our upside. Remember, with a covered call, like I showed you, and this is why I showed you this, I can essentially cap my upside if I end up having to sell, right, my shares at 615 or 620, right? Those shares will get called away from me, and I'm going to get the profit on the shares. But I'm okay with that because I like to focus on income investing right now, because I can generate that income and I can sell my covered calls. And the other one as well that I'm focusing heavy on is JEPQ. And JEPQ primarily is doing the same thing as JEPI, but on QQQ NASDAQ stocks, okay? So it's a lot more volatile, it's a lot more risky, but I like it that they're still, for the most part, diversified, okay? Maybe I'm not going to beat QQQ in a typical traditional buy and hold situation, but I'm able to collect that 10% yield that they give, plus I'm able to sell covered calls against the ETF itself. They're a little longer dated, less volatile, of course, but still, even if I'm getting about 0.5%, 30 to 45 days, mix that 0.5% in alongside the covered calls and the appreciation and the dividends that I'm getting. That's some meaningful income, in my personal opinion. So if you want to learn more about that, guys, plus get my trade lock templates, my 2 premium calculators, I break everything down in very plain to easy understand English, especially for beginners. So click that first link in the description of today's video. At the end, I'll give you all of these free resources, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.